Hi, I'm Nikki Gamble and welcome to Book Blast. Thank you for joining me. In the next 30 minutes or thereabouts, I'm going to present 40 of my favourite children's books published in August 2021. Selecting 40 books was no mean feat, let me tell you, because there were almost 2,500 children's books published this month. I haven't read them all. I don't suppose you'll be surprised at that. But I can tell you I've got some real crackers lined up for you in this presentation. Book Blast takes place live on the last Friday of every month at 7 o'clock on Zoom, and you're very welcome to join us live. If you can join the live event, then you have an opportunity to win all 40 of the books that are mentioned in the presentation, and there'll be a few other prizes along the way as well. So I think we'll crack on and have a look at this evening's books. Just before we get into the book selection, I wanted to mention that I'm doing these presentations free and I'm supporting bestbooksforschools.com from Just Imagine. They're taking pre-orders for August titles, which can be delivered on publication day, and you don't have to be a teacher or a school to order books from them. All the books are available at great prices, so I do suggest that you hop along there and have a look and see if there's anything that takes your fancy. But let's move on and have a look at what we've got in store for us. As I put the slides up on the screen, you'll see that some of them have a couple of symbols on them. The top one indicates a book launch. And if there is a book launch that you think you would be interested in attending, I'll be hosting these book launches, then please just email assistant@justimagine.co.uk and we can get you added to the guest list. I've also made some podcasts with quite a few of the books that are mentioned, with the authors or illustrators of quite a few of the books that are mentioned in tonight's presentation. And wherever you see this symbol, you'll find that there's a podcast which you can access from the archive on exploringchildren'sliterature.uk. So I'm starting with picture books this evening, and first up is Tiptoe Tiger from Jane Clark and Britta Teckentrup. It's bedtime in the jungle, but Tara, the little tiger, wants to bounce and pounce. Butterflies, peacocks, monkeys and owls, Tara wants to surprise them all. This delightful text is perfect for adults and children to share, whether at nursery or at home. Here's a flavour when Tara meets the butterflies. Let's tell Tara to tiptoe quietly. Whisper, tiptoe, tiger. Oh dear, Tara didn't tiptoe. Her big pounce frightened all the butterflies. Can you flutter your arms as fast as that? You can. Eventually, Tara, the tired little tiger cub, just wants to curl up and sleep. It's time to calm down after all that bouncing. From Catherine Rayner, another story about an animal that can't get to sleep. But Arlo the lion is very tired. He just can't seem to fall asleep. He can't get comfortable because the grass is too prickly, the sun is too hot, and the desert is too quiet. Then Arlo meets Owl, who teaches him a relaxation song. It begins. Think about the places you'd like to be, the things that you do there, and what you might see. Owl's song does the trick, and when Owl can't sleep, Arlo soothes him with a special song. Catherine Rayner's animal illustrations exude a comforting warmth. Arlo's story and his song could become regular bedtime routines. From inclusivity-conscious publisher Alana Max, we have the latest book in the adorable Lulu series. Lulu is preparing for her first sleepover with cousin Hani, and of course she wants to wear her favourite kanga dress. Lulu's aunties, Zari and Gina, same-sex partners, provide a fun-filled experience for the preschool cousins. The sleepover is a celebration of play, imagination, and family. It's utterly joyful. The longest, strongest thread is very different in tone, but it also celebrates strong bonds that can exist in families and across generations. In this case, between a young girl and her grandmother. The soft, unsaturated palette suits the pensive tone as the young girl prepares to move away with her parents to a new home where the lake freezes over in winter. Gesture, gaze, and proximity, as you can see on the book jacket, show the closeness of the bond between the young girl and her grandmother. As they sit side by side in Grandma's sewing room, the girl draws a map to her new home, and grandmother makes a vibrant yellow coat to keep her granddaughter warm. They are connected by a sunshine yellow thread, which matches the coat and contrasts with the muted background. It's an unbreakable bond, a reassuring story to quell separation anxiety. Bob Marley's feel-good song, adapted by his daughter, Cedella Marley, joined the young girl and her friends in this story as the community pool resources and create One Love Park, where everyone can enjoy nature and each other's company. Be sure to introduce children to Bob Marley's music after reading the story. Cedella says in her author's note, "I hope One Love will be your happy, healing, sleepy song, because I know it can do for you what it has always done for my kids." Stunning bird's eye view pictures in this story by Fran Preston Gannon. When the time comes for little bird to fledge, she tells her mama that she wants to see the world and the humans that she's heard about. Soaring over patchwork fields, she sees farmers tending the land and fishing the seas. But in the cities, she finds chaos, caged birds, and migrants fleeing war-torn countries. When she herself is threatened with capture and incarceration, a family nurture her back to health before releasing her to fly home. Back at the nest, she recounts what she's seen. "I met people," she says. "What were they like?" her mother asks. "They were many, many things," said little bird, "but the ones I will remember most are the ones that were kind." An optimistic story about human capacity for both destruction and kindness, and it works at many different levels. From Alexis Deacon and Vivian French, the team that brought you the Little Rebel award-winning book, I Am Henry Finch. This, quite possibly, is my favourite picture book of the year. Just look at the cover and appreciate what a masterpiece of design this is. The egg yellow background and little bird simply painted in the egg-shaped negative white space with elegant and equally simple font. What does that expression say to you? Little bird explores the world from within the confines of her egg. Am I the world, she thinks. She flaps her wings, kicks her legs, and pecks with beak. She is certain that she is the world. That is until she hatches and a whole new world opens up for exploration. This is a story about the development of consciousness and coming to understand the world beyond the egocentric self. Deacon and Schwartz excel in profound simplicity. The phrase, "less is more," springs to mind. There's no doubt this story will appeal to children, and it's on point for preschool children, but it can be appreciated by all ages and has much potential for opening up discussion about big ideas. The title, Ergo, I Think Therefore I Am, with its alliterative echoes of the word egg, will be appreciated by many adults. I've paired that book with the next choice, Philip Bunting's Who Am I, which works alongside Ergo very well. This book poses a series of questions, each one a colourful double-page spread. Am I? My name, my place, my stuff, my gender, my skin colour, my muscles, my bones, my guts and stuff, my senses, my thoughts, my feelings. Eventually, arriving at the conclusion that each of us is unique and more than the sum of the parts. It's a great conversation opener for developing self-awareness. Margaret Sturton's updating of the Little Red Hen story strikes just the right tone, avoiding heavy moralising. Kat wants to create a vegetable garden and thinks it will be fun to work on it together with Puss. Puss, however, has other ideas. She just wants to play. When the vegetables are picked and the table laden with food, Puss asks if she can taste some. What do you think? Asks Kat. Puss is left to draw her own conclusions before offering to wash up and join in with the other tasks. You know, she says, I always thought working together was the same as playing and having fun. An early lesson in responsibility. Share the work and share the fun. 10 tired teachers have finished for the day. The kids have gone, the homework's marked, chairs are tucked away. They stagger through the playground with a weary, bleary groan, just in time to see they've missed the last bus home. I'm sure there are lots of teachers and parents watching this and empathising with those poor, tired teachers. Fortunately, Mr. Smith, full of bright ideas, there's one in every school, suggests they take the shortcut home through the dark wood, where one by one, the unsuspecting teachers get picked off by the monsters. Delicious. But there's a final twist. The monsters hadn't reckoned on the grit and determination of the early years teacher, who quickly whips them into shape with behaviour plans and a no-nonsense approach. A regular meter, lots of half rhymes and ellipses where children will love joining in with the countdown. This is a recipe for a shared reading aloud with a group in school or nursery. Sarah Warburton's monsters are fabulously hairy, but not too scary. Paired with this, 10 Silly Children is a nice counterpoint. Each spread shows a number of children doing something eminently sensible, like helping with the washing, but you lift the flap to discover what's really going on. In this case, turn the page to see how a lion looks with underpants on his head. 4 very silly children, an interactive book full of anarchic surprises. More anarchy in Beatrice Alamagna's Harold Snipperpot's Best Disaster Ever, which is now available in paperback. It's not without reason that Beatrice Alamagna is so beloved of illustrators. Her talent for the absurd is unsurpassed, and there's always a lot going on for an observant child to pick up. Harold Philip Snipperpot is turning 7 years old. He's never really had a birthday party. His parents are too grumpy, but this year is going to be different. Thanks to an amazing man called Mr. Ponzio, something incredible is going to happen on Harold's birthday, and it's going to be absolutely extraordinary, though not what Harold's parents were expecting. Alamagna's palette of muted earthy tones is befitting for the animal's subjects, but the story is filled with metaphoric colour. A cautionary tale for parents, reminiscent perhaps of Bernard, the eponymous boy turned monster in David McKee's classic. For something different, completely different now, war does not hear, it does not see, and it does not feel. War always knows where they fear it and wait for it. This book is a powerful visual and textual poem about the many faces of war and is suitable for older readers. Written and illustrated by father and son in Portuguese, it has already garnered international recognition with the prestigious NAMI Concourse Prize in South Korea and the Little Hacker in China. I picked up a Portuguese copy in the wonderful Bologna Children's Bookshop before the pandemic stopped international travel, and now it's been translated into English and published by Greystone Books in Canada. I'm delighted that it will be available in the UK at the end of August. This collection of short stories from Indian publisher Tulika draws on the mythology and folklore of many cultures to focus on the need to protect, conserve, and value water, a creative plea to readers to treat water, and by extension all life, with respect. Jill Lewis has a new book coming out in her award-winning Willow Wild Things series. If you haven't already encountered these delightful stories, they're perfect for newly independent readers, a gentle blend of fantasy and nature, and a great series to gently nudge children towards if they are stuck in a Rainbow Fairies groove. Nicole and Jay Save the Day is a collection of 4 episodic stories about 2 brothers. They are gently humorous stories which exude warmth and celebrate family life. Also look out for Nicole and Jay, the Star Birthday, with 4 more episodic stories. These work very well for newly independent readers too. Set in 1943, this story by Polly Faber is inspired by the big black cat who arrived at the Faber publishing offices during the war and never left. The same cat who inspired T.S. Eliot's Morgan in Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Morgan takes on the role of looking after the orphaned kittens roaming the streets of London and eventually evacuating them to the country. It's a delightful story with characterful, energetic illustrations from Clara Vulliamy. When Freya's explorer and archaeologist father sends her to Throgmorton's School for Girls, she fears her adventuring days are at an end. The strict headmistress, Miss Henderson, has an exhausting list of restrictive rules, and the head girl doesn't like her. However, when Freya discovers bats in the attic, it has some unexpected consequences and opens up the possibilities of new friendships. Soon, Esme, Daniel, and Freya are exploring the midnight world and all its creatures. And when precious artifacts are stolen from the school, well, there's a mystery to be solved too. I love the way this book was written, with the narrative chapters interspersed by authorial observation and an invitation to perceive events from the point of view of the tiny creatures that inhabit our world, often unnoticed by humans. The ghost house sits upon the shore of the river, beneath a great hulking viaduct next to a graveyard. It is built of dark, damp stone bricks that wink in the moonlight. Its windows are small, its ragged rooftops swoop down low, and lights flicker within. The edge of the river reaches out and grabs at the gardens with greedy silver fingers. The waterfall thunders and echoes throughout the valley. A battered sign swings at the entrance to the car park, metal fixings creaking with every push of the wind. Lightning falls, it reads, and anybody who stumbles upon it realizes this is not the place for a restful night. I bet you can hear the creaking of that sound, of that sign. Amy Wilson sets the scene for a ghostly, magical story. Valerie lives at Lightning Falls, and she's been there since she was a toddler with the rest of her ghost family. But unlike them, she's a hallowed ghost, born at midnight on Halloween. And while she's helping Meg and the others to haunt guests who come to stay at the crumbling house, that's not all that she wants to do. The haunting scenes are playful and lightly humorous. One night, she sees a strange white-haired boy, Joe, up on the viaduct, as you can see on the jacket. He tells her about a bridge beneath that will take her to her real home, another world, one that is under threat, called Orbis. Valerie is plunged into a dangerous adventure as the link between the two worlds begins to crumble. She must confront the truth about herself and overcome someone she has always considered family if she is to reach her real home. I'm delighted to have been on the judging panel for the Times Chicken House Prize, the year that Richard Pickard's The Peculiar Tale of the Tentacle Boy was selected as the inaugural Chairman's Prize. It stood out for its quirky originality and humour. It's a fishy story starring Marino Minnow, who lives in the seaside town of Merlington, where the price of pollock fills the minds of the fish-obsessed inhabitants. Marina doesn't care much for fish, but she does love stories, and she's about to become part of the biggest story of all when she finds a boy called William who lives on the ruined, haunted pier. Again, you can see that in the jacket. Together, they embark on a journey to uncover the mystery of William's past. With his crab claw hands and a head of tentacles, William is reminiscent of Edward Scissorhands, and the dark humour in this story is distinctly Burton-esque. Exploring themes of joy, home and family through a wide range of genre and style, each author in this short story collection, Happy Here, has been paired with a different illustrator to spotlight Black British artistic talent. This book is an antidote to the gloomy feelings that can overwhelm in troubled times, and it could be just what the doctor ordered. Swapna had a story about the partition of India after the Second World War and the mass migration of people across India to what is now Pakistan and Bangladesh, focuses on the impact on two children. Ibrahim, a Muslim boy who's become separated from his family, and Amar, a Hindu street child. When Ibrahim is caught up in violence at Delhi station, Amar unexpectedly guides him to safety. A friendship develops, and the two realise they have more in common than separates them. The story focuses on the personal impact rather than a political discussion, though Nehru does make an appearance when he addresses the crowds towards the end of the book. This is an important story in Indian and British history, and it needs to be more widely known. There are few books available for a younger readership. So now 3 science fiction novels coming up. The first is Memory Thieves from Darren Simpson, author of Scavengers, a dystopian thriller about the consequences of eradicating and rewriting memory. Sion has lived at Elsewhere's sanctuary for as long as he can remember, freed by Dr. Haven from the dark memories of his past life. But when Sion finds a mysterious warning carved into the bones of a whale skeleton, and the newcomer Jonquiel arrives at the facility, Sion begins to question what's really going on. Superb world building, a tension-filled plot, and a thrilling climax make this a very satisfying read. There are lots of opportunities for discussion. Why do we remember sad as well as happy times? How important are our memories to what makes us unique? What happens when people lose their memories? Who does it affect and how does it affect them? High octane thrilling adventure from Alistair Chisholm in Adam 2. The robot Adam 2 has been locked in the basement of a building for over 200 years. He is intelligent and has the power to imagine and to learn. One day, he's discovered by 2 children, and he emerges into a world which has been ruined by civil war between humans and AI. Hunted by both sides, Adam discovers that he holds the key to the war and the power to end it, to destroy one side and save the other. But the question is, which one is fighting for good? The story is told from 2 perspectives, robot and human, and features a non-binary character. This is intelligent, thrilling science fiction with a Blade Runner feel. Every Line of You by Naomi Gibson. The screen in front of me flickers with numbers and letters, waiting for one final keystroke. We were meant to press enter together. We were meant to cement this final moment of our years-long weekend project by pressing the enter key at the same time. Now Dad's gone. All I have left are the monitors, circuit boards, and piles of textbooks scattered around my room. I brush tears from my eyes and refuse to let more fall. My finger hovers over the key. I take a deep and shuddering breath and hit enter. Imagine if you could create your own boyfriend. Lydia's built herself the perfect companion in a hard drive filled with lines of code. He's Henry, named after her deceased brother. He's strong, clever, tender, and he learns quickly. Soon surpassing Lydia's coding skills, Henry takes control over the decision-making. But where will it end? This is an utterly gripping page-turner from newcomer Naomi Gibson. I'm personally very happy to see a new book from teen writer Keith Gray. The Climbers from Barrington Stoke is a short novel about a group of 15-year-olds who live in a village. A favourite pastime is climbing 5 challenging trees, each named by the group, each with brilliantly observed characteristics. Sully is recognised as the best tree climber. He has what the group call reach. But there is one tree that hasn't been conquered or named, the last tree. So when newcomer Nottingham arrives in the village displaying expert tree climbing skills, the gloves are off. Who will make it to the top and win the right to name the unconquerable? Keith Gray is a master storytelling. Something as simple as tree climbing reverberates with deeper psychological tension. Climbing and reaching are about more than scaling trees. This is a compact but profound story about hubris, friendship, and loyalty. You may have heard of the White Rose, the youth resistance movement in Nazi Germany, but have you heard about the Edelweiss Pirates? Probably not, because their story has been largely untold until recently. Dirk Reinhardt's novel, translated by Rachel Ward, is told in diary format and charts teenager Josef Gerlach's rebellion against the Hitler Youth. Josef hooks up with a dissident teenage group, attracted by their long hair and cool clothes and their motto, freedom. At first, the pirates are only interested in hanging out and having a good time, but as the situation in Nazi Germany gets worse, they plan dangerous missions against Hitler's regime, and soon they attract the attention of the SS. Increasingly, they risk their lives through acts of rebellion. Like members of the White Rose, many of the Edelweiss pirates were executed by the Nazis, but until recently, they were classed as criminals rather than resistance fighters, reflecting society's double standards for intellectual and working class resistance. This is a story that needs to be more widely known. Splinters of Sunshine. After a fun Christmas Eve decorating the tree and singing along with his mum to Queen, 15-year-old Spey wakes up on Christmas morning to find the ex-prisoner father he has never met asleep on the sofa. Then he receives a mysterious package, a torn envelope filled with half a collage he made with his old friend Dee on her 6th birthday. Since then, Dee has bounced between schools and pupil referral units until a tragedy meant she ended up in care outside of London and is drawn into the world of county lines gangs. They haven't spoken for years, but Spey is sure she must be in danger. He just doesn't know where she is. There's only one person Spey can think of who might help him, the guy on the sofa. On to nonfiction. Golden Domes and Silver Lanterns, by American Pakistani author Henna. This is a welcome reissue, a rhyming story about colour that connects colour with important artefacts and traditions in the Muslim religion. Brown is a date, plum and sweet. During Ramadan, it's my favourite treat. Orange is the colour of my henna designs. They cover my hands in leafy vines. You can't have too many books about ancient Egypt, a topic that remains perennially popular with children. Nosy Crow's publishing partnership with the British Museum continues to produce some excellent books. Mummy's Unwrapped is very clearly presented with appealing illustration and layout. It includes some gruesome details that children enjoy, but gives us so much more. It's a great addition to the school library or home collection. This new collection of myths and legends from James Davies presents stories in a comic-style format, similar to Marcia Williams, but pitched slightly older. It includes some of the most popular myths, including Pandora's Box and Theseus and the Minotaur. The stories are interspersed with factual spreads about topics such as the stages travellers pass through on their way to the Greek underworld, how myths explained the world, and also the belief about the hand of fate. There's a useful map of the mythic world so children can locate the stories and the action. Each story has a distinct colour palette reflecting the mood and themes. The visual style references Greek pottery, architecture and sculpture, and the overall package is extremely appealing. There aren't enough books about music, so it's great to see this one by Mary Richards and David Schweitzer. It embraces world music and voice as well as instruments. It's a great introduction to different musical periods, genre and styles. We all know what it means when we say it's raining cats and dogs, but have you asked anyone to put watermelons under their arms recently? If you have, then you've conned them into doing the awkward job that you don't want to do yourself. We can all imagine what it would feel like with those heavy weights under each arm. This phrase comes from Azerbaijan and Turkey. In What a Wonderful Phrase, idioms from around the world, you can learn what the following mean: to split open the crocodile's intestines, to show off your wrinkles in front of a silkworm, and to be in the age of the turkey. And there are many other sayings. Enjoy delving into these strange sayings and develop a curiosity for language. 30 young people from all over the globe united in their determination to make the world a better place. It's humbling to read the stories of these young activists and their achievements, fighting for rainforests, oceans, against racism, elitism, and the destruction of homelands of Indigenous people. These are remarkable young voices. We need to learn their names and listen to their stories. The author of When Plants Took Over the Planet, Dr. Chris Thorogood, is Deputy Director of and Head of Science at Oxford Botanic Gardens and Arboretum, where he specialises in evolutionary biology and has a particular interest in parasitic and carnivorous plants. This book is all about the evolution of plants from their beginnings as water-based charophytes 500 million years ago to the more recent introduction of flowering plants. In this book, we learn about ferns, horsetails, cycads, conifers, orchids, water lilies, and much more. A final spread encourages children to start their own projects, such as making a seed bank. A timeline and family tree help the reader visualise the relationships between different plant groups and when they first appeared. This is an utterly absorbing read for children in upper juniors into Key Stage 3, and no doubt adults as well. What is an aerial river? The answer is just one of the fascinating facts that you'll glean from this well-presented book, Amazon River, by Sangama Francis. In fact, there are 3 Amazon rivers. The aerial river is created when plants suck moisture from the soil and then breathe out the water vapour during the sunny days. Clouds of water vapour rise from the trees and then flow towards the mountains, where they turn into rain and replenish the Amazon. The second river is the surface river that we call the Amazon, and then there's another river that flows 4 kilometres beneath the surface. This colourful and appealing book covers geology, wildlife, peoples of the rainforest, and threats to the rainforest. Amazing Rivers from What on Earth books gives us a global overview. It's packed with facts that many children love to learn. What's the longest river? The Nile. I bet you knew that one. What's the shortest river? The Roe River in Montana. It's just 61 meters long. And what's the world's cleanest river? Apparently the Thames. You could have knocked me down with a feather. But there's more to this book than a random collection of facts. You'll learn about flooding and parched rivers, about icy rivers and boiling rivers, about industry, agriculture, and leisure. This is a book to dip into and learn something new every time. Deep in the rainforest, there stands a majestic volcano. It soars high above the treetops. Undisturbed for thousands of years, its deep crater is home to many curious creatures, including Ratty. One day, Ratty decides it's time to leave his crater, and he encounters many new and inhospitable animals. And he almost ends up as dinner for a crocodile before he's rescued and flown home by the bats that live in his crater. This is a story that straddles fiction and non-fiction. It's inspired by a 2009 expedition to an extinct volcano, Mount Busavi in Papua New Guinea, where researchers found 40 previously unrecorded species in the crater that have been largely undisturbed for 200,000 years. A double-page spread is devoted to explaining the factual basis of the story, and another to illustrations that will help children to name the animals and look for them in the illustrations. Laura Hawthorne's illustration is glorious. Stylized trees and foliage are reminiscent of the trees in early medieval painting and tapestries, or the surface patterns in Art Nouveau crafts. I especially love the colour palette of the nighttime scene. Curious creatures glowing in the dark. There's something magical about things that light up in the dark. Fairy lights, mobile phones being waved by a sea of hands at a concert, sparklers on bonfire night, and glow sticks. It's even more magical when a living creature can give off its own light. Fireflies, sea sparkle, glowworms, and the anglerfish. In this book, we learn about 2 different forms of light that creatures generate: bioluminescence, which animals make from chemical reactions inside their bodies, and biofluorescence, which is created when animals absorb ultraviolet light. Many children will find this topic, well, illuminating. See animals as you've never seen them before. This is a completely absorbing book about their inner workings. You'll discover many fascinating facts. For instance, did you know that octopuses are extremely clever and can play with a Rubik's Cube? You may be surprised that a cow's 4-part stomach is designed to ensure the cow gets as much nutrition from its pastured diets as possible, or that an ostrich has lungs that are designed to increase its oxygen intake for running at fast speeds. However, it's equally interesting to see how similar the biology of different animals, apart from the specialized modifications. Some of the animals you'll find out about in this book include the snake, the camel shark, dolphin, penguin, crocodile, jellyfish, spider, and there are many others too. There are also explanations about skeletons, muscles, circulatory systems, and organs. And finally, poetry. In the introduction to her latest collection of poems, Rachel Rooney describes finding a poem written by her 13-year-old self and recalling the emotion of writing it under the stars by the chimney stack on the roof of her house. It was, she says, the last poem she wrote as a child. But thinking back, I wish I'd carried on. Poetry might have helped me navigate the highs and lows that every teenager experiences. And more specifically, the experiences of an undiagnosed autistic girl. The poems in this collection are written to her 13-year-old self. In Mask, she speaks of the awkwardness of never being quite yourself in company, and other poems reflect on the comfort of secret places and finding a voice. This is a coming-of-age collection to help teenagers navigate their way through what is for many the most challenging time of their lives, when they yearn for freedom but may be thwarted by parental control, peer pressure, or society's expectations. So there we have it, my 40 books for August 2021. And as I say, you're very welcome to join us live for the next book blast, September 2021. You can register live for that event on Zoom, and I'll put the link in the text box below this video. And there you'll have an opportunity to win all 40 books if you are able to attend live. And I also know there are one or two other special prizes coming up in next month's presentation as well. So I hope to see you there, but if not, certainly pop back and have a look at the presentation and video if you want to next month. And in the meantime, I wish you a very enjoyable summer and a happy August.